Come on, get your energy up and please welcome to the stage, Miss Christy Conder.
I've heard so many people talk about diets this week. I mean, just being on diets, but I don't feel like men go on diets. Like, men just don't really care about how they look, right? I mean, like, Gordon, you don't care how you look, right? Right, yeah. It just doesn't matter, right? But, women, we tend to care about how we look, but I admire that about men because there's so many things I admire about men. That's one of them. And also that, you can settle a lot of things. Men can settle a lot of things with like a fist bump or a handshake. So much is included in that. So much is communicated in that. And I'm really jealous of that. Like, women don't have anything like that, but I think we could do something to remedy that. Like, I think we should have our own little, like hand motion or something like that. I think I've figured out what it is. It's a hip bump. Because God gave us hips. Let's honor the hip bump. So, okay, I buy a homemade apple pie from Kroger, and you don't tell anybody, hip bump, yay, it's all good. Karen, you and I go and work out, right? And we're at some restaurant, hip bump, you're not going to tell anybody. I tell my girlfriend that her braid's gonna fall out when she goes out on stage. Hip bump, trust me, we are bonded. Yes, we are. God gave us hips, honor the hip bump. I need shirts that say hip bump, Derek. So, okay. So I found out, or I realized that autocorrect needs Jesus, right? My pastor just had a baby, and so I was texting him that I was going to bring a crock pot of chicken. It auto-corrected to crack pipe of crystal. And before I could say anything, he texted back and said, that's okay, the youth pastor already brought some. True confession, I don't actually go to church. I work at a church, right? Who's in children's ministry? Anybody else in children's ministry? Nobody's in children's ministry. Y'all, that's where you need to be. You need to be helping children. This is our next generation. Shame on all of you. You need to volunteer more. But what I've learned in children's ministry is that you need to be prepared for any questions you're going to get on a Sunday morning. Like, for example, I got this one day. Miss Christy, when Moses crossed the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army followed right behind him and all the water crashed down, does that mean that the horses died too? Were they evil horses? Why did the horses have to die? I don't know. Or I got this. If David had seen Bathsheba in the shower, would she have been Shower Sheba? I don't know. And then I've really learned that you have to proofread a text before you give it to a child to read. You really should read it because, again, you will have some conversations you weren't prepared to have. Like this happened to me. Now, boys and girls, we're going to read about David and Goliath. And Goliath has just challenged God and the Israelites to a fight. And so David's going to talk to the Israelites about what they're going to do. So Rachel, you're going to read from the Bible. Everybody read along. And Rachel's going to read from the Bible about what David says. Okay, thank you, Miss Christy. Then David said to the men, who is this man? Who is this Miss Christy, what is that word? That is uncircumstantial. It's separated from God. And then you got a homeschooler in the back that goes, that's not what it says. That's not what it says. We did an art project on that last week, and that's not what it says. I know. So then you think, okay, I'll read it. I'll read it myself, and then I can kind of edit as I go along. All right, so that's how this goes. Okay, boys and girls, we're going to read from Joshua chapter 2, and you're going to read along while I read aloud, okay? And you're going to read. All right, so everybody's reading, okay? And if you have any questions, just raise your hand, okay? Okay, here we go. We're going to read. All right. And so Joshua had 2 spies come from the land of Siddim. It's Siddim. Yes, Caleb, you have a question. You're right, there is an H in that word. There is, it's a silent H. It's Hebraic. And it's pronounced Siddim. So yeah, you've heard that word? Yeah, I know, I've heard that one too. So we're just gonna, go right over that and we'll just keep going. Okay, everybody reading? We're reading. Okay, so they went into Jericho to the house of a prostitute. Rahab. Please, no one raise your hand, please. Oh, look, Caleb has another question. Caleb, I think I know what your question's going to be. Why don't you just ask your teacher, Mr. Gary, sitting right next to him, what your question is, and we're going to keep reading, okay? Oh, Gary's going to kill me. Okay, so King of Jericho, yes, Mr. Gary, you have a question. I think I know what your question's going to be, Mr. Gary. Caleb wants to know what Rahab's job was. She was in sales. Thank you, I'm Christy Conder.